I've tried many different ways of getting rid of rust, and if you're a mechanic of any description, you're not actually using tools and spanners and things. You're fighting rust your entire life. That seems to be the thing that I've found anyway. And something I'd never tried before was electrolysis, and I've heard a little bit about it, but not as much as you might perhaps have thought. So I've tended to stick with things like sandblasting and soda blasting and stuff like that. Anyway, having recently had a look at it, I thought, well, I'll give this a go. So this video is about my first real attempt at using electrolysis. It seems a really simple process. Basically, you're going to set a tank of water with a little bit of, well, they always say washing soda, but I've used bicarb of soda and salt, which seems to be an equally respected thing to use. So some water, bicarb of soda, some salt mixed in. Doesn't have to be a massively, diluted solution, because all it's doing is passing electricity through. Put the item that actually going to try and get the rust off, and connect that to the negative side. I connect it initially to a battery and then to a battery charger, and collect some other large piece of steel, iron or whatever to the positive side. And the negative side supposedly loses the rust, and the positive side supposedly gains something, and it actually looks quite nasty when you've done it. So it's quite interesting. Connect those two together, then connect it to a battery, shove it on, and you leave it for a reasonable amount of time. It's not a let's dip it in, take it out and away we go. So it's something that you need to have a little bit of patience, but the cost of actually getting the bits together is trivial, and it's probably a lot less messy than the sandblasting, and the chemicals you're using are stuff you could use in, you actually eat bicarb of soda made into bread and things, salt every day. So they're not nasty either, so you've not got anything that you need to be worrying about getting rid of. So this is my attempt at it. I'll show you an item that's not been done and a similar item that I have finished, and I'll show you all the steps. So hopefully this will be of interest, and I'm hoping it works really well, because it's something easy to do that I probably will use quite a lot. So that was the result from using electrolysis. It seems quite good in a lot of ways. The trouble is you get flash rust. Now I've seen a lot of flash rust when using wet blasting as well. So sandblasting sort of wins on the flash rust stakes in that yes, you get flash rust, but not quite as quickly. I think it was a good process, especially for difficult shaped objects and things that have got machined parts on them that you don't want to sand, because sometimes even if you mask them, the sand pulls the masking off and it can be an issue. So when there's something machined on it, this seems quite good. It's a bit faffy, and it takes a long time, but it's dirt cheap. It costs next to nothing to do. I think, looking at the parts that you've just seen, I've got some flash rust. I'll give it a brushing. I would give it a rust treatment such as Cure Rust or something like that before I painted it, or maybe a zinc undercoat, depending on how much flash rust you got. It's been very successful at pushing off some of the scabby bits of rust. I don't know with paint. It is definitely something that's now in my armoury of rust removal, and I will use it, probably more than you expect, because I haven't got a blast cabinet that's set up I can just go to. But I think if I was doing something, larger, I definitely would probably look at sandblasting rather than this process. I'm quite excited about using it on rusty petrol tanks. Not that rusty petrol tanks ever excite me. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I haven't got a rusty petrol tank at the moment. No doubt the next bike I buy will come with one just for me.